Hey everybody, and welcome to Fascinating Words and Phrases with me and Dexter. We are going to explore another phrase today for you, which I've never actually given any thought to. It's a funny one because you use it, and even in my Video Creators Club, I use onboarding, but the whole phrase "take on board," where the heck does that come from? And is it
It's an int
nice?
Say again.
Is it nice?
Yes, it is nice.
Oh, good.
And actually, that you have just mentioned, on board somebody.
Yeah.
And as we've said on many occasions, a lot of the phrases that we use on a daily basis and the derivations of these and the origins of these phrases um, we use today and are sometimes nautical.
Yeah.
This idea of taking on board, you would think that's purely what it is. It's a nautical term, taking on board cargo, taking on board passengers,
Yeah.
and the idea now is about taking on board an idea, and then if we extrapolate that a little bit more, we can go deeper because the whole concept of a board and a boardroom, which we know is on a ship as well, and it's where the captain and his first officers will sit down and discuss ideas. So that's part of that nautical tradition of taking on board cargo and ideas. But it goes deeper than that. And when I started researching it and how we use chairman of the board, above board, board games, it all comes from a Nordic word, which is board, and it's BORD, which means a plank. So again, perhaps it's that derivation of the nautical that you walk up a plank to get on top of, or walk the plank to get off the boat and on the boat.
Hmm.
Um, but the idea is it goes back to actually Tudor times, where the landed gentry used to bring their workers around a table, a board, because that time there were sophisticated tables, certainly in the higher echelons of society, but the majority of times it would just be a big plank of wood or a number of planks of wood put as a table. And the landowners then would bring their workers in, their land workers, their farmers in, to share a meal. And that was part of the board. And the landowner, would be the chairman of that board for his workers. So he would give them a meal. And the interesting thing is that they would also place the money, the earnings for these people on top of the table. So it's above board so that
Ah,
there is no duplicity. They can see how much they're getting. So everything is above board. So again, one of those derivations. The idea of room and board is another thing that people would have a room. They would also be given a meal on the table, on the board. So, bed and board, we know now, is to feed people whilst you give them the room for the night. So, as you see, it comes back to those Tudor times and the ideas that everything is centered around the table. If there's a discussion, then it is around that table. Even board games, where previously, then people used to play, like Shove Hate Me and things like that, and that was on the board. And that used to be engraved in the table itself.
yeah.
And then, of course, board games they have come about where we actually put a board on a table. The other thing that really interested me, we've talked about this Nordic term of board and the etymology, and I know that you love to know where they come from in the world as well as how
Yeah.
we use them. And there is an element, if you like, of rudeness. When we talk about people putting their elbows on the table,
Yeah.
and that's conceived to be rude. The reason is that at that time, when the Nordic people used to have these planks of wood, and put on literally legs. And it was very unstable. So if you put your elbows on the table, you could tip the table up. And therefore,
Wow.
all these centuries ago to today, it appears to be rude to put your elbows on the table. So
Yeah.
that's where it comes from.
Wow.
Wood, the table, and all that comes from that.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And I suppose even under the table dealings would be because everything was on top of the board and above board and then under the table. That's
Yeah,
amazing. That is absolutely amazing, Dexter. Thank you for that one. That's really, really good. Well, I hope you found that as interesting as I did, because quite simply, yeah, I've never even thought about it, and we use it all the time.
yeah.
So, yes, so if you've got any questions or any words or phrases that you want us to look into, then put your comments in the comment section. Let us know, and we'll have a dig into it, and we'll do a little video for you and give you a shout out as well. So, thank you very much, Dexter.
Pleasure.
Everybody, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and yes, we'll see you in the next episode. I'm actually quite impressed with that one. Thank you.
My
Cheers, then.
pleasure.
Bye bye.
Bye.